And here we go. Lucky,
What's going on,
how's it
man?
going, man?
I'm good. Let me just write this on Instagram.
Yep.
We're live right now.
All right, all right, all right.
Live link in bio. I'm good, man. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for having me on. This is the second one I've been. Let me just write this on Instagram. Oh, there we go.
Yep.
Let me mute that.
Live right now. Yeah.
There we go. Now it's muted. That's what you're talking.
How's everybody doing today? I hope I can see a few people waiting on, well, probably watching. You're probably going to get this 20 seconds later, I suppose. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to Lucky Schild, who's on his phone.
Lucky Schild.
Lucky Schild, sorry.
Lucky Schild was the boy band that didn't make it. They decided to go with Destiny's Child instead.
Is it? How you been, my man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm actually enjoying this whole stay-at-home quarantine, self-isolation or social distancing. I'm not self-isolating, social distancing thing. I feel like I'm getting more work done. I feel like I'm living more healthier. I feel like there's a lot of clutter in my life that has just disappeared now, and life seems a lot more peaceful and steady, and I've got more room to breathe and more room to be creative.
Well, that's good. That's good. I'm in the same boat, actually. It's been a blessing in disguise somehow. I shouldn't say well, it's been great for me, maybe bad for others. Just, busy in my studio working on music and mixing other people's records and doing all that good stuff and getting creative and doing these kind of shows. Like, why not? It's a great time to do that. So
Yeah, man. Like, again, thanks for having me on. This is amazing.
You're a pinnacle in this industry, and it's an honor to have you on here, my friend. So, Luki, there's a lot of people probably watching. I don't know how many, but hopefully they're picking up. I see Saeed's there. Hey, Saeed, what's going on? Saeed's been a regular watcher on the live chat. He's been an avid supporter of this live stream. He's a fantastic. He by the way is a crazy. He works at the Autodrome, so he's a mad race car driver and biker and stuff like that. Who loves music big time. So anyway, hi Saeed. I just thought I'd say hi. So Luki, let's start off with you, obviously. So I want to know the history. Let's talk about when did you move to the UAE? Right, and just briefly on that, what year did you come in, and how did you get started in music or in audio engineering or in production and whatnot? Give us a little story, please.
Okay, I'll try to make this as quick as I can.
You don't have to if you don't want to. That's fine.
I didn't know that what I was doing was like a proper recording technique, but I started like maybe around 13, 14 years old on my boombox stereo at home. You had the CD on the top.
I know.
The tape deck A and tape deck B. Yeah. And you had the little microphone socket. All right. And in my school, the cool high schoolers were all like rappers, and at the school talent show, they would all perform and stuff. And I was like, I want to do that. And back then, this was in Indonesia. I was born and I grew up in Indonesia. So in Jakarta, in the capital, all my friends that came back from the States, they always brought back like, the hottest hip hop CD or the hottest hip hop single CD and stuff. And the single CDs always had the instrumentals on them, right? Always like whenever they'd come, they would always like pass around the CDs to everyone, and everyone could take them home and record them on tape cassettes and stuff. So they would have a copy on cassette. And so when it got to me, when the CDs came to me, I would always go straight to the instrumentals and start writing to them. And then my brother, who was in a marching band, he was like, those marching bands that like,
yeah, of course,
around the field and stuff and do those crazy things. Like he showed me how to record from CD to tape while performing on the microphone.
Right.
So I would write the lyrics and stuff, and then I would play off the CD, the instrumental, record onto deck A, and perform like my verses on it.
You print on deck B, basically.
On deck A, right? So deck.
Right. Okay.
would be the instrumental plus my vocal, right?
You had to get it right. So if you didn't get it right, you had to do it again.
Yeah. So then I was like, I don't know how, but somehow I figured out that, okay, well, I now on deck A, I've got the instrumental and one layer of vocals. I want to layer a second layer of vocals on it. I wonder if I can play off tape deck A and record to tape deck B and do another layer of vocals on that. And I did, and I found out that it worked. And then from there, it just, my imagination just took off, right? And I was just going back, going this way, that way, this way, that way, this, and just layering vocals. And it didn't, of course, like the sound was deteriorating.
But it was something to experiment with.
Yeah, it was something, you know, and it was something for me.
Yeah, I think it's crazy that we all kind of started doing it that way. Like I remember back in the day, the tape deck would have I didn't have a CD player. A little bit younger than older than you, I suppose. So I'd put two tape machines together, cassette, not like tape machines, and kind of do the same thing. And you know, it was fantastic. It was like, okay, but we didn't know it, like subconsciously, like, oh, cool. We just wanted to get our creation out and get that vision out or whatever it is. And it was a fun tool to have. So it just proves that whatever you have, you can make from, you know?
Right. So this became like, I loved it. Like I just fell in love in this whole process. And I started doing school talent shows and performing, and I would make my own instrumentals. Like I would record backing vocals and bring the tape cassette to the talent show and be like, here, you know, and it would have like my chorus pre-recorded that I had already pre-recorded and everything. And then I finished off high school. My last 2 years of high school, I moved to Switzerland because my father decided that I had to get in touch with my Swiss side of my family, of my, you know, my origins and my roots. So he sent me to a boarding school in Switzerland, and over there, one of the teachers was really into music, and he let me borrow his drum machine, like this little tiny, I think it was, I forgot what it was called. It was either a 303 or a 606 or something like that. This tiny little drum machine, and I would spend like hours on it every night, just messing around. And then he saw that I had a real interest in music, so he showed me in the school band room that there was an actual 4-track recorder to cassette. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And to get, like, the school said to the students that if we wanted to get extra points and stuff like that, to look good for like college or university recommendations and stuff, like we could do like afternoon courses, you know, to teach to other kids and stuff like that. So I decided, you know what, I want to do like a music making course, because when I was in Jakarta, me and my friends started making beats on PlayStation using a program called Music 2000. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No.
It was literally, it was a beat maker, like on PlayStation, and you could load your own samples onto it and stuff, and it almost looked like Fruity Loops. So it was just like a bunch of little dots, you know, like a kick sample and plug in your dots, and snare sample, and then other samples or whatever like that, right? And the way that we got the music out of the PlayStation was we just ripped the red and white cable out, you know, from behind the TV, and just plugged it into either the boombox or a mini disc recorder or something, and recorded to that. And there we had it on tape now, and we could take it wherever. So at the boarding school, you know, there was a PlayStation, and I had my Music 2000 CD on me, PlayStation game on me. So I was like, I want to do a music making course, and I want to make like a mixtape. I want to do a whole rap mixtape with students here. So I did that, and I did that the first year I was there. The second year I was there, that same teacher, he goes, hey, I want to show you something. The computer in my office, I've got this software that can record music. So instead of doing it analog, you can do it on a computer, and there's a lot more that you can do. And at first I thought he was joking. I thought he was like really messing with me. I was like, what do you mean computer software on a computer to make music, you know? And he he introduced me. It was either Cubase or Cakewalk. What came first? I think it was Cakewalk, right? Was it
Probably.
Cakewalk?
I mean, there were sound tools before Pro Tools, but that was in the early '90s as well that came out. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
It was either Cubase or Cakewalk. He introduced me to that, and that's where it really, that's where I fell into the tunnel of
right.
video. And I was in there every break, every lunch, every free hour that I had. They had to kick me out of there because I was just I was so amazed at everything that you could do on a computer. It was just so much more easier to do all the analog stuff, you know? And yeah, and then when it came to deciding what I wanted to do after high school, I remember having a chat with my dad, and he was like, what do you want to study? And I was like, I know what I don't want to study. Like, I don't want to do what my sister did and spend like 7 years or 8 years of her life studying medicine. I don't want to do what my brother did and spend like 4 or 5 years of no life studying math and stuff. Like, that's not what I want to do. And he's like, so what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. I want to study sound, like this thing called sound engineering. Like, I want to do that because that's what I enjoy doing. I like being in studios. So he's like, okay, cool. So I literally wrote, like, applied to all these different schools. And the first school that came back to me was a school called the School of Sound Recording.
Oh, wow. What was this?
In Manchester, in England.
Okay.
It literally was just like a little college that that taught sound recording, right? So I did the 18-month course there. And then while I was doing the 18-month course, they offered, they were an Avid certified school. So they recommended that I do the Pro Tools course with them. Yep. So I did that, and I became a Pro Tools certified operator. And I was there for 4 years. So I did the 18-month course, and then I did the Pro Tools course. And then I kind of just hung about because, like, Manchester and the music scene and everything, like, you know, I just felt like I needed to be there to soak it all in and learn as much as I can. I started working in Subway to make ends meet.
I've been there.
Yeah, so I was like making sandwiches during the day and then like messing around with all these bands and turntablists and rappers at night in the studio. And then in 2005, I came here on holiday.
Right.
And while I was here, I met a whole bunch of people, and it was very, very clear to me that at that time, this was a land of opportunity. Like, Dubai was becoming something, and people were building things, and there was, you know, things were going to happen, and there wasn't a lot of people like who had the skills that I had around back then, you know? So I did a very quick search on the Avid website to see if there was any Pro Tools certified operators in the region. And lo and behold, I was the only one. I was the only.
There was a bunch at that time during those years, because I worked in NBC in 2004, and there was Bashar. There's a bunch of people who are, maybe you got connected in a different thing, but there was a lot of Pro Tools certified guys here at that time.
I don't know. I remember I clearly looked at that website on the Avid thing, and I was the only one. And I was like, okay, cool. I've got an edge. A few years later, like people started, a few other names came up, but I had an edge, right? I had this Pro Tools certification.
Which is good.
So I started meeting all these different people. The one company back then that sort of opened their arms to me was Gear House.
Oh yeah, I remember Gear House.
And they were like, you know what? Like, we could, we'd be interested in having you come and work for us to do live sound and stuff. And I was like, cool, like, awesome. You know, like, finally something in a country where the sun is out more than it rains. Because in Manchester, it was like the exact opposite. Like, it just rained. And I was like, I get to stop making sandwiches. Cool. I get to actually do something that I love. Right. So I was like, look, let me go back to Manchester. Give me like 2-3 months and I'll come back here and like, we'll get things going. Right. I came back after 3 months, and Gear House was like, oh man, we gave your position to someone else. I was like, no. So then I spent 2 months like going to absolutely every studio, every live events company and stuff. And I somehow, you know, this company wouldn't have a position, but they would then put me in contact with this company, and then this company would have a position, but they would then, you know, they'd be like, oh, maybe talk to this person. I suddenly found my way to BKP, to Barry Kirsch.
Everybody's been there.
I found my way to Barry Kirsch, and Barry was like, I've got, you know, it's great. I love your enthusiasm. I love, you know, your qualifications and stuff, but we don't have a position for you.
Right.
Let me put you in contact with Dubai TV.
Yeah.
That's how I ended up coming to Dubai TV. I met the manager of the creative department, and I was 23 then. So she was like, what could a 23-year-old possibly, like, what could you give me? You know, like, how could you really benefit me? Like, what do you know that could benefit? Yeah. You know, and I was like, listen, like, I'm qualified by the company that makes the system that's in that studio. Yeah. Okay? Let me work for you for 1 week for free. And if you don't like it, if by the end of the week you feel like I got nothing to bring, let me go. But let me just work for you for a week. And she was like, okay, cool. Come on Saturday, because back then weekends were Thursday, Friday, right?
Right.
It's like, come on Saturday, and you know, we'll do your first week free trial. So I show up on Saturday, and she's super pissed. Like, she's really, really angry, right? I can hear her like screaming as I'm coming up the stairs. I'm just like, what the hell is going on, right? And she's like, I come in she calls me into the office. I get into the office, and then she's just like, I'm really not in a good mood. And I was like, yeah, I can tell. And she's like, okay, come follow me. And so she takes me, and we walk through the whole TV station, and we go to the studio, and we get to the door of the studio, and then she suddenly turns around and she faces me, and she's like, listen, I don't want to go in there because I'm really angry at the guy that's in there. And she looks at me for a while, and she goes, you really are lucky. You know how this is meant to be your first, like, this is meant to be your trial week? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, you're hired. This is your first day of working here. Wow. That there just resigned this morning, and he just told me that he's leaving in 3 days. So you have 3 days to find out as much as you can from him of how things work here. And that's it.
Wow.
Good luck. I was like,
you're just lucky, Luki. That's that's good. I mean, you know, like, that's karma for you in some ways, you know, like, you know, we were talking earlier, like, I always improvise with the show and see what topics we can talk about. And this is, I mean, look, luck for me, I'm not superstitious in any way. I always believe you can make your own luck in some ways, or if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, or the energies are together. And I would say it was your calling. It was just, I guess, right place at the right time. But how right is that? It's crazy because at that time in 2004, 2003, end of 2003, I got hired as a sound designer or sound engineer in NBC television, funny enough. And that one up there. And it's funny and we really needed a lot of Pro Toolers with us. It's so crazy. Like, can you imagine if I knew then, I would have said, yeah, bring this guy in, you know, like whatever it is, but you would have ended up somewhere else. It's interesting to see, okay, if you went there, what would you be right now? Or if you went there, what would you be doing right now?
I would be at NBC. It would have, like, I was like I only had so much money, you know what I mean? And I was like, I don't want to go back to Manchester, and I don't want to go back to Indonesia because economically and stuff like that, like, Indonesia wasn't great, you know? So I was like, I don't want to go back there. And at that time in my life, I was really young. I didn't really want to go to Switzerland because I couldn't speak the language very well. And I just didn't want to have that hassle of trying to learn the language and get by. And you know, I just felt like I had a really big disadvantage if I went to Switzerland.
Well,
So
you
I was
just
like,
want to hit the ground running, isn't it? Like with your skill set, you just want to hit the ground running. You don't have time to learn anything else. You want to just get all the juices that you're fired up and fresh in your head and put it to work, basically.
I was here and I was just like, okay, look, like I'm going to keep knocking on people's doors until I find something, you know? So if DMI didn't work out for me, if Dubai TV didn't work out for me,
Yeah.
I probably would have kept knocking and eventually would have probably shown up at MBC's doorstep, you know, and I probably
That
would
would
have
have
been
been nice, actually. I would have got to know you that time. But anyway,
stars
so
along the way, and we ended up meeting each other in different ways. Yeah, yeah.
100%, and in a much better way, you know, because I always, for me, like I think when you and I met, you probably knew me only as musician, you know, whatever, all of this, but you know, I always have my different side. And well, the reason why I'm bringing this up, it's very interesting because I had a nice talk with Simon Short, and we're talking about if you really love what you want to do or what you do, you'll find a way, no matter how, you know. As long as you persevere and you work hard and you bang on doors and you pester people and you get this shit done. And that same applies to whatever skill set you're learning. If you really love it, you'll go out of your way finding out how to do it and how to make it happen. Example, musically, and back when I was in Boston, I lived in the US, so not only Boston, but I used to annoy the crap out of musicians who are great jazz musicians. I was big into the jazz, and they hated me in the beginning, but then they loved me because I just kept asking, like, how'd you do this? How'd you do it? We didn't have YouTube at that time. So I had to go and find all that stuff out. But I was so determined. I still am till this day, determined, like every day. You can ask my wife. She's like, I drive her nuts. She's like, you know, I just want to more. Give me more. Give me what's next. Give me more. Give me more. Give me more. Practice, practice, practice going. So with it's interesting that this subject came out. We're going to talk about maybe karma and hard work. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that, right? So, we'll touch. I think we'll make this whole scenario touching around that subject. So, what we can do here is you went into DMI, which is Dubai TV, and you became a sound designer, composer, you know, producer, whatnot over there. So, from that transition, how did you come about with the recipe, which you're known for, the hip hop outfit? You know, which you guys sound amazing. So tell me the story of, you know, from that I wouldn't say transition because you kept your job over there, but how did you go about, or how did all of that come about? What were you hungry for that you were missing in Dubai TV? Maybe that's what I need to ask.
Um, I mean, the whole reason that I got into sound engineering was because of making music, right? Was because that 13-year-old me got those single CDs and instrumentals and wrote to them and recorded the music and stuff. And then when, you know, when I had gotten into high school, I did that whole afternoon course thing where we did you know, the mixtape with everyone. And I guess I learned at a very young age that I really enjoyed this sense of community and collaboration, uh, because it's magical. You know what I mean? Like, it's just magic when you see people come together who, you know, probably would have never come together if it wasn't because of their love for music, suddenly start to collaborate and create something out of nothing. And it's just, it sounds amazing. Like, it's just magical, you know, to be able to witness that
Yeah.
is brings a joy to me. Um, and so when I came to Dubai, you know, be, because of the Indonesian in me, right? Like, you don't just go into somebody's house and just suddenly start putting your feet up on the table and stuff like that, right? So I didn't want to come here and just suddenly be like, yo, I'm a rapper, I'm a producer, I'm this artist and this and this and this. You know, I didn't feel that was right. Like, I wanted to come here and I was like, you know what? Let me be a fan first. Let me find out, like, what's the music scene here like who's doing what here. And I just, for the first 2 years, I just threw myself into the music scene. Yeah. And I got to know everybody from the rock side to the open mic side to the hip hop side to the DJs, you know, in all the different scenes, your house DJs, your hip hop DJs and stuff like that. I got to know everyone, and I was a fan of everything. Like any event, I went to it. You
Right.
know, it didn't matter the genre or whatever. I just went because I loved it. I was just like, wow, like there's a lot going on here. Um, and the one thing that really impressed me with the rock and metal scene here was the sense of community that they had. And I came to learn of the ambulance compilations that they were putting together. And I was like, this is amazing, you know? Like all these bands are making this music and they're piling together their money and their efforts just to record this compilation, and they're printing these CDs and they're making these events, you know, so they can get these CDs out. Like this is so cool, you know? Like, and I was like, how come nobody's doing this for the hip hop community?
Right.
Like, everyone in the hip hop community back then just seemed so disjointed, and everyone was just doing their own thing and nobody was working together. And you know, maybe because of the way the culture is, there's a sense of pride and competition, which is healthy at times. But I felt at that point it was a bit unhealthy, because that sense of competition just made people not want to work together for whatever reason, right?
I don't think it was healthy, but yeah.
So I was like, look, someone's got to do this. So I started talking to a few people to see if they would be interested in doing it. Because I was like, look, you're one of the popular figures in the community. Like, you should do this. Like, if you did this, it'd be a great thing for the community and stuff. But then I soon realized that, you know, everyone was busy doing their own things, and everyone had their own personal agendas that they were working on and stuff. So I was just like, you know what? Like, I'll do it. Like, I've got time. I've got a studio. You know, I've got all the equipment at DMI that I could use to mix and whatever. I just need to find somewhere that we can record. And that's when I met Jabbar. And Jabbar had, you know, he was living with his family in a house in Barsha, and in his backyard, he had converted his majlis into a studio. So he had the control room. He had knocked a hole through the wall and put a window there, and then he had a live room. He actually had a live room.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yo, this is perfect. I was like, this is great. We can spend and he was like, dude, we can spend all night here and make as much noise as we want, because the family's in the house and they can't hear shit, you know, and I'm soundproofing and everything. So it was like, cool, we're set. So then I was like, I need to get on, I need to announce this. I need to invite people. How can I do this? So Milton and Basel were going on Zara Soar's
I remember a show. Sorry, one sec, Lucky. Speaking of Milton, he's on the chat right now. Surprise. Hey, Rami's on the chat. My wife's on the chat. Hello, guys.
What's going on, everyone?
All right, go on.
So Milton was working with me at Dubai TV. He joined not long after I started working there. And so he was going on Zara's show, and I was like, hey, can I tag along? And hey, maybe we can do a song, you know, maybe like somebody can play a guitar and we'll perform on there together. I could rap and stuff. And I want to introduce this idea that I have of making this compilation, and I want to invite people on the show, you know, like announce it and invite people on the show. So I tagged along with them. We did a little performance, and then I invited people, and that's kind of when it started. People started hitting me up. I started going up to people when I was out in the clubs and stuff. And in 2008, we spent the whole summer of 2008, like 3 months, every single night. We would go and hang out at Jabbar's studio in Barsha. And it started off just hanging out, you know, like everyone would just come and we would get to know each other. There was a lot of alcohol, you know, and we just hung out and had fun and got to know each other. Eventually, like, you know, producers started playing their beats, and somebody would just be like, yo, I love this beat. I think I got something. And then they would jump into the live room and start you know, like laying down a verse or whatever. And somebody would hear that and be like, yo, I think I got something for that too. You know, like that was really cool. Like I got an idea. And then they would go in and we spent the whole summer doing that. And it got to a point where we didn't really care about the project so much. Like it was just more about man, this is cool. Like there's a whole community of us here now, and we're all getting to know each other. We've all got, so much in common, and we all love the same thing, this culture of hip hop and stuff. And it was cool to see like this community start to blossom in the studio,
Right.
and people started inviting other people to start collaborating on their own personal projects and stuff like this. And before you know it, by the end of the summer, we had all of these songs, and I started taking the songs and editing them and mixing them and stuff. I started working with Milton on our free time at work. Like we started working on the songs and arranging them and stuff. And then I guess word got around that this was happening, that we were working on this compilation. And then Nickel calls me up. And he was doing the monthly, what were they called? Rock Nation or something. Every month he was holding the Rock Nation nights, right?
Yeah.
He was like, hey, Swerte, my name is Nickel. I do the monthly Rock Nation nights. I kind of want to do something similar, but with like hip hop. I want to do like a hip hop nation night once a month. And I heard from some people that like you're in contact with absolutely everyone in the hip hop community here. Like, could you link me up with them and we can maybe get this going? And I was like, you know what, Nickel? Why don't we start with a bang? I've got this compilation that I'm working on and it's going to be released soon. Like, why don't we use that night to sort of introduce the idea, like introduce the world to this compilation that is happening.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get everyone to perform, all 14 of us or whatever, to perform on the night.
You remember where it was?
Huh?
Okay, keep going. I was asking, where did you guys do that night?
We did it at Touch at 4 Point Sheraton.
Right.
Okay. Where the original Rock Nation nights were. I think Nerve Cell played there around about that time. Cool venue. It was perfect. Dark, grimy. Stage was like about that hot, this high off the ground. So you were like right in front of everyone. And yeah, that was the first time all of us stepped on stage as artists of the recipe. And from there, things just skyrocketed, like that was we billed that event. I remember calling, like I picked up all the magazines in the newspapers and I went to the nightlife section and I found the names of the writers who were writing the articles.
Yeah.
And I was like, type their name, email on Google. And sure enough, boom, I got their emails, right? So I wrote my little press release of this event and I sent the press releases. And then 2 days later, I didn't hear anything. So I was like, let me call the magazine. So I called the magazine and I'm like, hi, can I please speak to blah, blah, blah? And they're like, sure, who's calling? And I'm like, Lucky from The Recipe. And they're like, okay, please hold. Click. And I just got on the phone with this guy and I'd be like, hey, what's going on? My name is Lucky. Like, I sent you an email a couple of days ago about this event and stuff. And yeah, it's happening on this date. It's going to be the first time that hip hop artists in the country are going to be headlining their own event. Up until then, people only opened for artists. Like hip hop artists only got on stage if they opened for whoever. They never really performed publicly and headlined their own show. So that's what we were billing it as. We were billing it as the first time that hip hop artists were headlining their own show. And it was incredible. So many people showed up. The whole club was packed. And from there, more and more people started to call us for gigs and events. And then we suddenly realized that, looking around, I was like, okay, I'm a sound engineer. You're a video film guy. You're a marketing dude.
Let's get this together.
Label right here, like we can do this. We hired Zara to be our PR lady.
Right.
So she was working with us for the first 2 years as a PR lady and helping us on that side of things. And yeah, man, we started organizing our own events and recording more projects, solo and group projects. And our thing was for the first 3 years, we were like, we are not going to say no to anything. Like for 3 years, whatever comes our way, yes, we're not going to say no. Doesn't matter what kind of gig it is, what kind of opportunity it is, we'll do it. Doesn't matter if it's for like one person in the crowd or 10,000, whatever, we'll do it. You know, doesn't matter if it's a rock show, a metal show, a Bollywood show, like a house event or whatever. Like we're there, we'll do it. We don't care. We're going to entertain people regardless. Okay.
That's the way to go.
And that's what we did for 3 years. And here we are 10 years later. We celebrated our 10-year anniversary last year.
10 years? Man, wow, that's crazy. Time went by so quick.
I know. You know how Facebook and Instagram shows you like, oh, this time, however many years ago, you know, because all it does is reminds me how old I am. Yeah. That happened the Snoop thing. The National just did a thing about when Snoop came to town.
Okay.
And 9 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Man, that was 9. Holy crap.
It was, but it just seemed like yesterday, to be honest with you. Like, it's crazy. That's 2000. Yeah. Wow.
Remember the Beach on the Beach events?
Yep. Yeah, of course.
Like meet up behind the stage and stuff on Abu Dhabi Corniche. Sandwash would be there, and you guys would be there, and who else was there? Nicotine would be there, and Juliana Down. Desert Heat was doing their thing as well. Like that was like the group of us.
Yeah.
Every event, it was always like Bullfunk Zoo, Sandwash, Juliana Down, Nicotine, Desert Heat, Recipe. You know.
We did it. I think the first time I met you was that show that Juliana Down did. They created that festival. It was in this hotel in Abu Dhabi on the rooftop. It was a really cool venue.
Loft. Yeah.
Loft, yeah. The A loft or a loft, whatever it is. And I think that's the first time I met you because you were DJ and you DJ'd this awesome set. I'm like, what the hell is this? I was like, oh, another DJ for me. I was like, whatever. And then you start playing this really cool stuff. I'm like, okay, this guy's got some good taste, man. And then I think Hamdan knew you before me, so that's when we got to know each other. It's pretty dope. I was waiting for dancing to your shit, man. It's awesome.
You had all this merch with you, and I remember asking you like, how did you do this merch? Like, how did you go about doing legally without getting in trouble and stuff? And then you were telling me like you have to get a special license for it and all of this. And it was after that conversation actually that I looked into it and we started doing our own merch. So thank you.
No, I didn't do anything, man. I just everybody did it. So. No, it was good times, man. It's like there's something very enriching during these times. It's, as you said, people were coming together. That scene was really tight together. I'm not sure if it dispersed somehow over the years or something else was going on, or we were just, or I am, whatever, just really in my hole here or wherever. I'm not sure, but I'll never stop working. I'm always doing something. But that was like, I really had a great, especially that night. I mean, the A-Loft, man, the shit that went down in the hotel rooms, that I don't know if you stayed there that night. Oh, man. Now that was...
My wife is watching. I don't know what he's talking about.
Hello, wife.
I'm part of these parties in the rooms.
It was fun, man. That night was crazy. It was fun. I was like, it's a very memorable night, that one.
We're showing up in the afternoon and everyone was eating lunch. Tim Hackett was there. Julian was there. Like Hamdan, like everyone. We just kicked it like at this table. It was just so cool. Like you said.
Funny enough, I do a lot of jobs. I work in the events industry as a show caller and stuff. So there was this job I was doing for the Gawa Championships, and they kept us in the A-Loft. And I walked there. They still have this painting of Juliana down on the corridor. It's like they haven't changed it since 10 years ago. I don't remember what year that was anyway when we did this. Do you remember what year it was?
2000, I'd say 2016, maybe? No,
Oh, no, 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 no. It's way before that. I think it was like 2012, 2011, maybe, something like that there.
probably around that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I think it was that time.
yeah, between 2011 and 2014, because it was during the time when the recipe I think took a break, and I started venturing into other things.
Yeah, you
Um,
were doing your own set at that time. The recipe wasn't with you. It was just you on the decks
yeah,
at that.
this thing called Elephant,
Yeah,
where it was all mostly controlled by Ableton, but I was really interested um, in after opening for too many DJs,
right,
right? And seeing what they do, like being able to sort of peek into the DJ booth and
right,
see what they're doing. Um, wow, that wasn't even with the recipe. That was with Andy Buchan and Defunct Sound System.
right.
Yeah, and that was like Chi at the Lodge's 3rd birthday anniversary. Yeah. So anyway, I noticed that they weren't just DJing; that they had their laptop open, and it looked like that they had some sort of sequencer open on the laptop, and they had like keyboards and stuff in the DJ booth, but they still had the DJ mixer there, and I
Right,
was just, what is this?
right.
You know, my engineering brain suddenly cropped up and was just like, huh, what is this? How are they making this work, right?
Right.
Um, and so I went home and then I learned about like hybrid DJ setups, and I learned about this software called Ableton that, you know, can be the hub and can do all these things and worked a little bit differently to other DAWs, and they had like this whole clip triggering thing.
Right.
And so I started learning that, and then you know, I just wanted to see if I could make everything in my room communicate with one another using Ableton.
Right.
And to me, I was just obsessed with options. I was just like, I was watching all this Too Many DJs footage, and then I was watching Fat Freddy's drop.
Right.
You know, Fat Freddy's, they have that one big fat guy in the back with his huge mixing board, and he's like controlling everything. So I was like, I want to take all these ideas and put them all together and see if I can get everything in my room to communicate and like experiment and make things up and improvise on the go, but at the same time like have some sort of a pre-planned set that I can go in and out of as I want to, and be able to throw a delay on and whatever effect on to whatever, you know, instrument I want. And that's how Elephant was born. And it sounded really messy for the longest time, trying to get everything to work, because, you know, I had to figure out all the delays and stuff. But in the end, it did work, and I decided to take it on the road and perform it in front of people. And Aloft was, I think, one of the first few performances that I did. And I ended up not doing a lot of performances because it took me a long time to set up.
Right.
You know, like bringing all of this gear with me, like all these different synths and my sound card and the mixer and my laptop and all these cables.
And you never know if something's going to go down and wrong during these live sets. So if you don't have a redundancy kit with it, you're
you know, one of my keyboards, if I accidentally tapped that USB cable, that's it. The connection was gone.
Yeah,
and I
crazy.
couldn't use it anymore. You know, and I think one of the last shows I did was the one in Dubai Marina where you were doing the sound for The Other Side. Was it called The Other Side?
Oh yeah, The Other Side. Right. Yeah. Oh wow, I forgot about that one.
Where Lumi played, I opened for Lumi.
Okay.
I brought like a smaller version.
Oh, now I remember that. Yeah, I remember that day. I
Yeah.
remember.
And during that show, it happened. I lost connection with one of the things on stage because somebody like bumped into the table
Right.
as dancing, and it just hit the cable just went loose for a split second, and that was it. I didn't have connection to that keyboard anymore, and I had to sort of improvise on stage and figure out how to do the rest of it, because it happened like right at the beginning, and I had like another 30 minutes to go, and I was just like, oh, okay, what do I do?
Let's
um,
entertain the crowd.
let's just use my voice and loop my voice and see what I can do here.
So, what are in the works now with what's happening with the recipe? Are you guys tracking, doing anything new at this moment? During this time, we're down. Anything in the works happening?
Yeah, so after we released our first commercial record in 2017,
Yep.
we next 2 years, 2017, 2018, really pushing it and promoting it as much as we can. We were meant to go on tour and stuff around the world, like to Asia and States and stuff. We had all that planned up, but for very, very unfortunate reasons, we couldn't go. My passport got held up, passport issues, so we didn't end up doing that. But whatever, we try to make as much the best of it as we can over here. Last year, we decided to take a bit of a break, and we decided to focus more on community events, because the last thing we wanted to do was go back into the studio and stare at the same two faces again,
Right.
which we've done from 2014 to 2017. For 3 years, we recorded that album. And I was like, look, I don't want to see you two anymore. I'm sorry, I love you guys, but I don't want to see you two anymore. Like, give me a year, okay, before we get stuck in a room with each other again. And I was like, I miss people, man. I miss hanging out with people. We've been in a studio for 3 years. Like I want to be out and around people, So we decided to focus on community events, and I met a wonderful group of people. Milton, who obviously I meet every day at work, but he joined. Elia, Arij, and a few other people. We all got together and we decided we put this thing together called The Ascent,
Right.
which is basically educational talks with people who have a lot of experience in the music industry here.
Right.
And, could share their experiences on how to do it. What are the ins and outs of the music industry here? Because it's very unique. Like, the industry here is very unique to anywhere else in the world. You know? We didn't want people from overseas to come and tell us about the music industry, because it's useless. Doesn't tell me how to do things over here, right? So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 talks last year.
Right.
So we did 5 talks. Each talk we decided to focus on different things, but we wanted to always bring 2 people. Okay, so for example, the first talk we had was about how to become successful in this country, and we brought Hamdan Al-Abri and Sean Warner.
Right.
Yeah. 2 people who come from 2 different genres of music. One is a Billboard charting artist who does, is an EDM producer, electronic music producer. The other one is the voice of Dubai, all right? And one focuses on digital streaming, like that's his focus, on getting into the charts and focusing on digital streaming. And the other one more focuses on live performances. Right. Both are successful, but have done it in 2 completely different ways. So that we always wanted to do that with each talk. Show 2 people who had a common thing, but did it in 2 completely different ways. Right. One of the later talks that we did was how to build a fan base overseas.
Mm-hmm.
being here, but building a fan base overseas. And we brought on Barney from Nerve Cell and Hollywood from Holophonic.
Right.
Barney has been on tour around the world for the past 9 years.
Yeah, he's done well for himself, dude. He's got done very well for himself.
Holophonic have found fame in Thailand, and I think they're like huge celebrities in Thailand.
Are they? I just saw Ollie, funny enough, 3 months ago. We did it together. Yeah.
Like they're doing amazing in Asia, you know. Like they fly out regularly over there to do like to go to award shows and stuff like that. Like,
I have no idea.
uh, yeah, we're talking about like 10 million streams and stuff like that, you know. Yeah, they're doing really well. So, you know, we brought them on board to talk about their different paths, and the idea is to just show people that, like, look, things are possible in this country, and there's one right way to do it.
Yep.
It's just, as you said before, it's just hard work and not taking no for an answer, and just keep knocking on doors, you know.
Yep.
Like
finding different angles. If you don't find one angle that's working for you, there's many ways to skin a cat, you know, as they say. So you just got to find it and be patient with it and just keep going at it. It'll come. But as long as you're doing it I think for me, art, for me, music, as long as I'm doing it generally from here, that what I love, you know, some people might not like it, some people might like it. I don't care. As long as it's genuine and real, that for me perseveres the long-term effect. Rather than just doing something, oh, this will please the crowd, let's go for it. Yeah, it's short-lived, might become popular. I'm more of the long-term kind of guy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. This year we are making music. We've decided to get back together. Yeah. This whole lockdown situation has made us figure out a way to make music without having to be in the same room with each other and stuck in a studio looking at each other. There's Zoom, and that's been very helpful. But we're working on quite a lot of things, solo projects and group projects, and hopefully things will start to roll out in the summer. We're just trying to decide, like, do we want to wait a little longer until the world sort of opens up a little bit more, or do we just say, yeah, fuck it, and just start?
Why wait? You know? Yeah, why wait? So, what direction are you going in with this one? Is there? I heard your last record. Is it kind of a continuation of what you guys were doing, or is it going to be a different angle at this time, or you know, what kind of angle are you going with this new project?
We've decided that it only makes sense, like, when the Recipe started releasing stuff again after the 3-year break. Yeah, so we started releasing projects again, starting from, I think, end of 2015. We started releasing things leading up to Funerals in Purgatory, right? And we had this vision of, look, everyone knows the Recipe as like the boom bap 90s old school group, right? Like that's the image that everyone had of us back then, and that's how we kind of viewed ourselves,
right,
as well. But after taking a 3-year break, when we decided to come back and start making music again, we realized that music had changed, especially in the hip hop genre. It very, very quickly, very, very drastically, and the sounds were very, very new. And we were like, look, I'm a little bit uncomfortable doing this kind of music, but I do understand that we may have to start incorporating some of these elements into our music. But let's do a natural progression towards that, you know? So let's gradually work our way towards incorporating more and more and more modern sounds. So that's what we did. We dropped Death to Get Here, which was a very, very boom bap sounding thing. We then dropped the Throwback to the Future mixtape, which was mixed mixed by DJ Hurricane, who was the Beastie Boys DJ. and it was a very old school project. And then we started releasing a couple of singles that were a little bit more modern sounding, and then we dropped the album, which I think the reason why we called it Funerals in Purgatory, there's a lot of reasons for it, but the idea of purgatory being this middle state,
Yep.
middle world, that's where we found ourselves. We were like, we're in between the old sound and the new sound. And this is what the album is. The album is that mixture of the old and the new sound. It's got elements of both.
Yeah.
And the other reason it's called Purgatory is because it's up to the people to judge us. Whether they accept it or not is whether we succeed and go to heaven or we fail and we go to hell.
Right.
You know, like they are our judgment. Like that was the purgatory for us. So now after that record, we've decided, you know what, like what's the next evolution here in the recipe? And so we're now trying to mess with more modern sounds and modern techniques in our music. And it's been very experimental, but a lot of fun. Like realizing that there's all these things that we've never tried before that we're actually capable of doing, you know?
Like what?
Well, for the first time, we decided
a recording production kind of thing or whatever you
and this is a big thing for us, at least, okay? Being the rappers that we are, okay? We decided, let's turn on auto-tune and see what happens.
use it as an effect or use it to auto-tune?
No, use it as an effect, like in modern hip-hop music, right?
I call it the pixelation effect. It always sounds like pixels to me.
When people, they do that, it sounds like that to me, right? But we were like, okay, let's do this, and that's kind of been the biggest thing that we're experimenting with. Like, how can we use this technique? But
so what did you? I mean, I haven't heard a sample. I'm just interested to know. So you'd use it as a plugin, obviously, to mess about with it, and you probably play with the arpeggiation of it and all that. Then what'd you do after? What'd you run it into, like to create something more unique sounding with it? Or what did
well, I really like throwing a distortion.
Of course, it's always nice to throw distortion.
So like I'll throw a bit of a distortion in there because I really like, especially with my vocals, and after doing everything that I did with GDE, I really found this voice doing GDE, this tone of voice that I did with them that I wanted to bring into the recipe. And I met this really young kid here called Tak. Shout out to Tak. And we work a lot with him, and he's really brought a lot of, he's been a breath of fresh air to the group. He's 22 or 23 years old. He's really young. He can rap like us. Like he knows his hip hop. Okay. Right. But because he's so young, he's very, very in tune with the new sounds and stuff. Right. And so he came to one of my GDE shows, and after the show, he was just like, next time you record with the recipe, I want you to stop thinking in your head that I'm Swerte from the recipe. I want you to come into the studio and be, I'm Swerte from GDE. And I want you to record for the recipe as if you're recording for GDE. And I was like, okay. So
kind of fresh ears and fresh people who can see things from the outside, because you get so close within your work that sometimes you're so detailed, so passionate about what you're doing that sometimes you forget to look from the outside, and it's always getting a fresh set of ears that make you realize something else.
Yeah,
that was that.
It's crazy that like something as simple as think like you're recording for that when you're recording this put my whole mind state in, like it just changed everything.
Right.
When I write for the recipe now, it's completely different to how I used to.
You got cut off, buddy.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Your audio's gone.
You hear me now? Check. Hello? You can't hear me?
Can't hear you.
Hello.
There you go. There you go. There you go. You're back.
Unmute, and it came back. Um, so yeah, it's changed the whole way that I write. It changed the whole way that I deliver now. And I've started bringing in a lot of the effects that I used for GDE into what I do with the recipe, so adding a distortion in
So
there.
what's it? What's a distortion go-to plug or rack mount you're using?
No, so I'm just using Sanzam.
All right, that's fantastic. I was just talking about Sanzam today. Funny enough, it was like, yeah.
And then I like to here and there, especially in the more melodic parts, right? So I'll be rapping, and then sometimes I'll go into a melodic part.
Yeah.
My rapping, I'll add a layer that has a little bit more distortion in it, and I put a flanger on it, right? Widen it out, and just to give it this bubbly effect to it,
Tell you what, have you ever used the Sound Toys plugins?
Yeah, I've heard of them. The thing is, like, I've decided not to mix things for the recipe, right? Like,
I don't know. I'm saying as an effect. There's one effect that you really like. I think for what you kind of do it, try it. It's called the micro phase shifter. In there, it's fantastic. It does that whole bubbly and wide, and it makes it a lot easier. And it sounds. I've been using it a lot these days on some mixes or whatnot. It's amazing. And for distortion, try their Devil Lock or Decapitator. You can do a trial version. Give it a go. It's got these tones in there, and the Sansam's fantastic.
Decapitator. Okay, I'm googling them.
Look, I'll tell you what. Just download all their plugins. They're amazing because although based on these kind of things, and if you want to buy them after 30 days, do it.
Both from Sound Toys.
All from Sound Toys, yeah.
No, so because I don't do the mixing for the recipe, right. I don't invest into a lot of plugins. I use a lot of wave plugins.
I have all those as well, yeah.
And most of the things that I have in my studio at home is mostly for the stuff that I do at work, right. And I don't really need a lot for the things that I do at work because it's very, very basic mixing for television.
Yeah, but when you send your tracks to mix, you've printed your vocals with the effects, right?
No. So I'll do a basic mix,
right.
In the plugins that I have, right? Because I don't need the best plugin in the world. I just need a plugin that does the effect that I need it to do,
right?
To get a general idea of what this is going to sound like. And then I send that basic mix to the engineer, which is Milton or Tack.
Right.
And so they then have an idea of, okay, this is what they want. And then they use their proper plugins and stuff. And then I'll usually go over there and do like finalized sessions with them where I sit in.
Because I thought you printed when you were rapping and you wanted this certain effect on your voice. You printed it down. Okay, so basically, they put that as a mix part instead of a commitment part from your side. Correct? Is that what you're doing? Okay.
There have been times where they can't get they can't get it to sound exactly the way that I've gotten it to sound. So there have been a few times where they're just like, "Yo, can you just print how you've done it and send that to me?" And so I'll just send them those little chunks, and they'll use that. But most of the time, like just yesterday, Tack was like, I sent him the auto-tuned vocals, like with nothing else on, just the auto-tune on, and he was like, "No, can you send it to me completely dry without auto-tune?" I was like, "All right, fine." I sent it to him, So yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Right now.
Nice. So I'm looking forward to hearing all this new stuff that you're going to be coming out with.
Thanks,
always,
man.
Yeah.
MGZ just showed up in the comments. He's an amazing producer. He's released some projects online on all digital streaming platforms. Look him up, MGZ. They're mostly instrumental beat albums.
Right.
but he's got amazing production. We're working with him, and we've recorded a couple of things on his production as well.
Sweet.
And actually, I think my first solo release is going to be something that I've worked on with MGZ.
Nice. Cool. I will have to check it out. Hey, MGZ. Subscribe to this channel so I could catch you on here, or whoever is on there, and let's talk music. So yeah, man, that's great. So now working from home and doing sound design and doing all of this stuff, you know.
Yeah, sound design is actually my passion. Like, this may sound weird, but I could walk away from music right now, like making music right now, and I'd be happy just sound designing and doing the stuff that I do at TV, and I'd be content. Okay. You know, that's actually where my passion lies: making noise for things that I see on video. You know, there's nothing more exciting for me than when somebody at work sends me a clip that's completely silent, and they're like, create the sound for this.
Yep, there you go. Oh, we got Reiner online as well. Reiner Erling's there. Hey, Reiner, what's going on? Good to see you here, brother.
Reiner knows what I'm talking about. Reiner's amazing at that.
Oh, I know. He's an awesome engineer, man. He's an awesome producer.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, man. So basically the big topic for what you've achieved with the recipe and all that is perseverance. And Karma played a really nice role with you. So yeah, man. That's great. So when we need to do, I think now, because building this whole community together, we need to start bringing it all together, as you said, with a recipe. And this is what I'm trying to do with this, with recording, production, producing, whatever. Now I got my like little mastering, mixing place here, with all this shit. And
is that what all that stuff is? No, I'm joking.
It's a poster.
That close to you. I don't know why. I thought it was like really far behind you. But
well, oh, this. Oh, no, it's right here. I just couldn't get the right, because I have a light bulb here I need to point out. If I do it this way, then it goes away. And it's stuck over here on my ass. So I have to sit this in this corner. Well, that's all right.
That over there, the big green button behind you.
Yeah, this is my monitor controller. It's Crane Song Avocet.
Man, that looks crazy. That looks like something out of like Star Trek.
It's a great piece of. Trust me, it's been years. I've been like, building up to get all this beautiful sounds I needed to get Alpha Vibe and all that.
Now we're swapping the interview. Why did you decide to go with all this outboard gear and not use plugins?
I mean, I've been in the box for many years, but when I was in the US, I started with a 4-track tape deck, before growing up, and I always loved recording and making music, and I recorded a couple of albums there, not my own. I was like featured on a couple of really cool albums, and they were all analog studios. I was always intrigued by the desks. There was one studio that had an SSL 4000, the other one had an Eve desk. I can't remember which one it was. And, when you go and record and you watch the engineer working and stuff like that, and he'd show me his 1176s, which are these nice compressors and LA2As, and I loved like the sounds like, So anyway, I came to Dubai in 2000 and opened up my first studio, which was the Pro Tools Digi 001 when it first came out. That's how I learned it. I was like, there's nobody to teach you here. I'm going to buy the rig and learn myself, So yeah, I went off from there, but I've always loved analog gear, because even as a guitar player with all of this stuff, for me, I love pure signal, pure analog sound and all that. And you can get great results with plugins, definitely, but there's a certain vibe with tubes and real transformers that even with the emulation, you get like 90% of the sound, which I've worked with, they sound great, but I like that extra percent. So if you pile up, let's say, plugins with transformer and tube emulations, 90% of the actual real thing, and you pile 5 of them, if you do the math, you only probably get like 0.60% of the whole sound. And in audio, it's all about the details, the subtle details. So these are all vibes. They're all on my auxes and buses where I run everything through. I have my stereo bus. And so I love great sounding quality audio with depth and fatness and all that. So, and yeah, they're all being used at this moment. I'm mixing this American band, punk rock band, which is pretty cool. I've never mixed a punk song, but it's pretty dope. It's very Green Day kind of thing, but it's really well recorded. Really well recorded. Like I love it when I get great recordings, and half of this is all about tracking really well. You know what I mean? And that, for me, I always believe in that. So first performance, and then track it beautifully, like how it sounds on the record. So I got a 47. I got different kinds of pre's and compressors to also track all that stuff in there. So I just want like top quality, particularly for tracking. And then I obviously use it for mixing as well and mastering, or what do you want to call it?
So do you have like session sheets so that, or do you just
Call sheets? Yeah.
at a time so that you've got your setting set and you won't move on to the next song until this song is done, so that you don't have to keep coming back to them? Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, I that's part of it. I have like every session I have a recall sheet, but what I do is I take pictures of everything, but then I type within the picture, I put a PDF and type it in case I need to go back. But a lot of this stuff as well is set. So now I know all of this really well. So I have my stereo chain here. I have my kick snare example that goes through here. Keep it set if I need to. It's a hybrid mix. I use analog summing. So it's like basically an analog setup. I have 32 of a SSL transformer in there. So everything runs out analog pretty much. And the computer is pretty much the thing that captures it, you know? And I use like delays and time-based effects on I use Logic on there, and obviously sculpting EQs. And then the rest goes to this stuff. So I have my chain, you know, my template, my chain, which I know like, okay, the vocals need a bit more, you know, low end or high end or something there. I have my Pultex here into an LA2A, and I just tweak them around, and then I'll take the recall sheet, come back. But they just sound so great. So, you know, it can't be the quality of that. That's for me.
What was more exciting, getting the studio set up or your wedding?
Definitely my wedding.
All of this, and because I remember you were posting the photos when you got the racks built and stuff. And I was like, I don't posting about his wedding so excitedly.
The wedding was great. I mean, for me and my wife, we really like to keep things, you know, like I like my personal life to be more personal, and that's why we don't do a lot of social media thing. I just like, okay, people don't really need to know about this. Of course, they know I have my weapon, but to go too personal like that, nah, you know, like I don't like, you know, I said social media is for your work. I always looked at it as a very work thing, right? Although you put personal stuff, but it's always related to what you do rather than what your personal life. I don't want like a bunch of people.
Red replied.
No, it was Defo the studio. Thanks, Lukey. Now we're going to have to stay on this interview till tomorrow because I can't leave the room now. Yeah, but dude, you got to come by, swing by the studio anytime, man. You know, anytime.
There's something about analog gear that just excites you. You know what I mean? Like it's just see it and you just want to mess with it and play with
turn knobs. And I have faders. I like because I look at like, you know, mixing is like another instrument, right? So it's like I'm pushing. It's not one mouse going up. I used to work like that. It used to drive me nuts because in NBC or whatever, I always had a controller as well, you know, like everything would be moving up, and I have 10 fingers to move, so I can move a bunch of stuff together and tweak things rather than mouse up and down, you know. That's, I mean, again, it's just a workflow thing. I love this setup for me. You know, everything works, but this works for me. I know I can get a great sound out of this, and why not? And plus, it's a great investment because this gear only goes up in price. Plugins, you buy it today, you can't sell that shit, you know. If anything happens, God forbid, like no, you know.
Yeah, like in the next 5 years, like they're gonna come up with a new form of plugins that like
is obsolete and gone. Yeah, and it's funny because these are all plugins are based on these things. You know, that's what they emulate basically. You know? But yeah, but listen, I would love you when this is over, when it tames down. Please swing by. Come and track some of your rapping. You know, like, dude, I got a fucking 47, a U47. I got 1073s, LA2As, top-notch sounding gear to track your vocals and have great sounding vocals instead of fixing it later and then send it out to a mix. You know.
Yeah, man. I'll have to. Once this is all over, I'll definitely pop down.
You have to. Yeah, you gotta. It's a great sounding room because I built this room. I designed this room and I built this rack by hand. I learned carpentry this summer, and all the acoustics here. I studied for like 6 months with these acousticians just to get that right tone, manage the low end, and get this sweet spot. Like I just went all out with it. I was like, screw it, I'm gonna do it now. Well, when else are we gonna do it? You know.
Like, so, at better time than now.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I've been touch wood. I've been busy mixing other people's songs and records, and making my own music. But you know, I need to like stop doing that for a second and just go back into what I'm doing. But then again, you said something very important: is people, and this is something my Red's dad said, which you said it earlier on, which I really enjoyed. Is people working together create great things, and you're all about, you know. And that's what I'm missing right now. Like just a drummer, just come in here. Let's just jam, come up with some ideas and track and rearrange it and do all of that. So I'm finding it a bit, you know, I'm putting all the ideas and a little bit of arrangements, but there's something missing, you know, another human being in the same room.
Zoom meetings just don't do it.
I mean, I tried with my brother actually the other day. I was like with audio movers and Zoom, like let's have something together online. It just doesn't work. As like even with the audio, like whenever the audio gets really hard, Zoom does something to limit it down, and it actually ducks it down and cuts it off. And when we were trying to play live together, it just didn't work. We had like a background something going on, and audio didn't work, and there was some latency, obviously. So, which is a real shame, you know. Wait, we got some questions going on here. Hang on a second. Hang on.
Red is proclaiming your love to the studio for you.
Yeah.
Elia and Milton are, I don't know what they're talking about.
I don't know
who's
editing. Okay.
My vocals are always perfect.
That's a lot. Milton says something else. If he would put down those ad-libs in perfect timing, then no, but he doesn't. Okay, I think it's an inside joke. He's also writing a song for me to apologize.
Are you?
I already have a song written for her, and she's singing on it. Funny. By the way, Red is an amazing singer. She's just amazing talent. And Milton says, like asking a drummer to put down his parts to a click. Okay. I'm not sure what that means. I think that's an inside joke with you, dude.
So do you find that the current situation, like we're blessed in the field?
You're cut off, Luke. I can't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me better now? No? Hello? Hang on. Hello? Yes?
I can't hear you, brother.
Yes, hello, check, 1, 2. 1, 2, check, check, check.
Yep, no, you're back. You're back.
I'm back. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Every now and then it just decides to. So do you find that because of the current situation, because of the field that we're in, we're, I guess, blessed because people are being locked indoors and, you know, are being more creative and making more music and stuff. And that's why like you're busy mixing for bands in the States, and I'm busy at home doing stuff for the TV and the government and stuff. Like, is this a blessing for us?
Look, to be honest, for me, I'm super happy, you know, because like I just finished building the studio and I moved in here in January, and I've been going back and forth to Saudi for the event jobs I've been doing. And then March came in and was like, damn it, man, I really want to play with my toys and have some fun, you know. And there's a project I was doing in Saudi for the next year, which is good, obviously money. And then that got postponed. I was like, sweet, I'm in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in a way, for us, it's good. I mean, either way, like as what we do as producers, engineers, and musicians, I mean, we're in isolation anyway. So in some other way or not.
Yeah.
But then again, as we said, is like having people with you in there is a good thing to vibe off, to feel the energy off, and all of that stuff, you know?
Yeah, I'm all about collaboration. One of the projects that I'm working on right now, one of my solo projects that I'm working on, is I'm trying to make songs where I feature one artist from the Middle East and one artist from Asia.
Nice.
in the same song, because I'm trying to bring my two worlds together.
Yeah.
You know, and so far the songs that I think I've done one, two, three songs so far, and each one has just been amazing. Like they're so unique
Right.
themselves,
Are
and
they out or you haven't set them out yet?
they're part of the rollout that's
Okay.
gonna happen second half of this year, hopefully. Um, and it's just exciting, you know, like it's exciting when the person agrees to it, all right, and you tell them the concept and they're like, yeah, I want to be a part of this, and it's like, oh man, cool, like they said yes. um and then you get the vocals from them and it's just like, oh man, like what did they do, you know, like they're in a completely different part of the world than we are over here.
Right.
They're, you know, where they get their inspirations from, and their culture has an influence on what they do and stuff. So every time I've plugged in the vocals in, it's so exciting to hear what they've done. And I'm kind of cheating, like I don't write my part of the song until I've heard both of theirs.
Why not? Yeah. So you're, but no, but that's good because you feed off of them to
Exactly.
feed towards them, not them towards you in that way, because you're inviting them as guests, you know?
Exactly. So I'm feeding off of that energy, and it's really cool, you know, and it goes back to that magic again, you know, like like I stopped being a producer and making beats and doing production and stuff for the recipe, um, because I decided that I wanted to focus more on being an artist,
Yeah.
you know, where you have the added job of tracking the vocals and editing and comping the vocals and arranging and doing the basic mix and then sitting with the engineers and finalizing with them and stuff. That I was like, I need to take things off of my plate, you know, and I decided I don't want to do the mixing. I don't want to do the mixing and the mastering. I don't
Oh,
want to make
understood. Yeah.
only so much creativity that I can do, right?
Yeah.
But I still do produce, but I only find joy in producing when I'm collaborating with people.
Yeah. 100%.
So if there's another producer there, another artist there, and we're all working together towards making a song, that's when I enjoy producing. I really don't enjoy making music on my own,
Yeah.
mostly because I I don't have the patience to sit there and go, okay, let's find the right snare sound. Clack, bloom, you know, like you're just hitting that down arrow button, going through all the different snare. I can't do that anymore. You know, someone else can go do that. Like I'd rather just be in the creative process of this is, you know, let's go with this rhythm and this, and maybe let's add this and that. No. And one of the last times that I did that was really, really fun was with Reiner.
Yeah. Reiner's great, man.
He's amazing, man. We were part of this project with Red Bull and Kareem, Bel Sutfa, and it was like a blind date setup where they got two artists to meet for the very first time in a studio, and we basically had 8 hours with Reiner at Soundstruck Studios.
Yep.
Come up with a song. And it was amazing. Like I was like, everyone was nervous, and I think I was the only one that was like super excited because I was like, this is what I love. This is why I do this, to like collaborate with different people and feed off each other's energy and make something wonderful, you know. And it was so much fun. We gelled straight away. We started actually how it started was we went into the live room, and Anthony, he's an artist from Lebanon. He was the guy that we met on the day and we were collaborating with, Anthony Tuma. He was playing on the piano, and I just snuck onto the drums, and I can play very, very basic drums and bass and guitar. Like I can play very basic on a lot of instruments, right? So I was like, let me just sneak onto the drums and just start jamming with him a bit. and whatever, and we just gelled, you know, like we didn't need to talk, we didn't need to say like converse in any other way except let the music
Flow.
talk, you know, and we just started jamming, and then Reiner comes in and he's just like, I like this, let's like, I love that rhythm, let's try and replicate that rhythm, maybe we can use that in the verse or in the bridge and this and this and this, and then we just started rolling, you know, and then like 4 or 5 hours later we had me, Reiner, and Anthony had the music pretty much arranged and
Right.
how we done. And Aaron spent that time writing lyrics. So by the time we were done with the music, because he was listening to us make it, he had
Right.
come up with lyrical concept to the song. And he went in, he recorded his parts, and listening to him record his parts, like me and Anthony got inspired and we started writing our parts. And then after that 8 hours, we pretty much had a solid song done. And it was just like, wow, like
That's
that
awesome.
amazing. Like
Yeah.
I didn't wake up this morning thinking that this was going to go down this way, but it was amazing. Yeah. So shout out to you, man. Thanks for that. That was really, really cool.
You got we got 7D's channel. I think he says hello. Amroth is there. Hey, what's up, Amroth? Amroth has been watching this all the episodes. He's an awesome producer. I don't know if you know him. And then Elia was asking, what mic do you use to record your vocals, Lukey?
Depends where I am. So the mic, the mic that the recipe records on is a Rhodes microphone. We have used this mic since 2008. This microphone has probably recorded, I think, every single artist that is in the hip hop scene in the UAE has probably at one point or another recorded something on this microphone. Like this microphone needs to go in a museum at some point because it has
fire that one, get a new one then.
It has recorded everyone. And it has been used. I've lent it out to people to use for their projects and stuff. I don't know if you know LSL, the Last Seen Live people. So they have a YouTube channel, and it's they bring people to perform live. And my microphone, I lend them my microphone. So my microphone that they use for that recording. So yeah, that Rode microphone is a legendary microphone for me. So we use that in the recipe, but I sometimes record at work, and at work I either use the C414 or the Electro Voice. What's the RE20? They've got
that's a great mic. I think for hip hop that'd be great mic for that. I think 414 is kind of sizzles.
I dipped down to the radio section of DMI specifically to ask them if we could borrow that mic for a definite amount of time, because I was like, this is going to be amazing for rap. Like it's that, you know, it's what they use for radio. Whenever rappers do freestyle sessions on the radio and stuff, it always sounds amazing. So I was like, I want to start recording on this for some of my projects. So I'll record on either a C414 or that Electro Voice mic.
Nice.
On my home, will record on the Rode. Funny enough, I do have a U87 at work and a U47, but I choose not to use them.
You have a 47 at work? You actually have a U47 at work?
Yeah, we have so many microphones at work. It's ridiculous. At one time, our company just spent a whole bunch of money on all of this equipment. Like you see it in the photo that you chose for this. Like you'll see, like there's amazing equipment that we have there. All these Manleys and Neves.
So what do you do with them?
Nothing.
Do they want to sell? Because hey, I'll fucking pick it up.
Yeah, they're just there. We don't use them.
That's like a waste of beautiful sound sitting there, you know?
Yeah, because we don't like for what we do at work. It's not what we need, you know.
I know, but it's what I need. So tell them, listen, procurement, we need to sell this stuff. It's sitting collecting dust. If someone can make use of it. Amro said the RE20 and the SM7 are dynamic mic stables. Yes, they are fantastic. The RE20, the Electro Voice, and the SM7. They're both fantastic mics actually for that.
Yeah. So yeah, we have all this gear that's just sitting there doing absolutely nothing.
Really? Shame. I would like to come and visit that and just see what's up. Get a big bag with me and say, look, this is coming with me.
Yeah, if you, dude, you go to the sound department in DMI, like the actual technicians, the guys that take care of all the equipment, and they have this one room that has all the gear from when Dubai 1 still was called Channel 33.
You're kidding me.
Like all the old sound gear, all the old tapes and stuff, recording equipment and stuff is all there. And every time I go visit them, I'm just like,
dude, hook me up. Hook the brother. I'm serious. Hook the brother up. See if they want to sell stuff.
I'll see. I'll have to talk to them. I think they have like sentimental value with them because it's still same guys from that time, and they probably just like sitting. It's also their office. Like that's where they have their computers and stuff, you know, and they're just sitting with all this stuff around them. And I think
that's a shame.
Surrounded by this gear. Yeah. Anyway.
And also, Amroth, he's second on the list for that, so trust me. Milton says, I used to have the RE20 in our room for my voiceovers. Unfortunately, it comes to the point where I had to put it in the other room for the producers to record. Cool.
Yeah.
I saw one for sale on Dubizzle today. I was like, look, you give me this price, I'll buy it off you. Because I really like that mic as well. It's great for tracking a lot of different stuff, you know. This mic, by the way, I'm using is brilliant for hip hop as well, for rap. It's gonna
take the stuff home with him before anyone gets their hand.
Pretty much, you just open up the can of worms right there.
Yeah, actually, you're two of either. What Milton, was it the 87 or the 47 that the producers broke?
87, I don't give a shit. I'm not a fan of the 87, but 47, no.
They broke two microphones, and it was either the 87 or the 47 that they broke. And I was so pissed off because they were unaware, man. They had no clue that microphones could cost so much money. They were like, but it's just a microphone. And I'm like, do you know?
I don't know which 47 you have, but if you had a Telefunken one, that's a $40,000 mic in your hands, you know.
Yeah, so it was
87. No, 87s are cheaper. Yeah, that's okay.
It was the 87, but I was just like, man, like, what are you guys doing? Like, this isn't a USB cable microphone or something, you know?
Oh god. All right, dude.
In this region that like there's a little bit of a like audio is really at the bottom of the ladder when it comes to media production.
Yes, and in NBC, no, they actually respected it a lot when I was in NBC for that purpose. And you know, we had studio consoles and Calric desks there, and no, they took it. I mean, NBC, but in general, I think I understand what you're saying, especially with the live. Like, yeah, mixer, just put the speakers up and go for it. It's just people don't know; they're not educated, you know, in that sense. So,
yeah, like because a lot of the times, like even with freelance work and stuff like that, like they would shoot these amazing things, right, with their red cameras or whatever. They shoot all this stuff, and then they get to me to do the mixing, and like they're like, oh yeah, the clip-on mic it wasn't working that day, so just have to use the recording from the camera. And I'm like, okay, but the guy that's talking is like 10 meters away from you. Like, there's the sounds of nature and cars and everything.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Expect me to do with this exactly? You
But
know?
that's the thing about recording. You got to track well. Like I got a track a couple of weeks ago, and the vocals weren't recorded very well. I sat a whole day just getting a nice adjustment and frequency out the way balanced for the vocals, so I could start working on the mix. It's crazy. Wait, hang on a second, Amroth. I almost got a vintage U47 for 1,000 dirhams. Hey, Amroth, who's this guy? I don't believe you. Okay, from wait, hang on. I'm just gonna read some of the chats. There was a local guy who told me he had a bunch of Neumann 87s. Then he said he had a vintage Neumann UFO that wasn't working. Dude, put me in touch with this guy, Amroth. Come on, bring it on. From an old Arabic studio, I told him I would like to buy it ASAP. I drove to Sharjah, but I think he got spooked when I told him these mics are worth good money. Why did you tell him that, Amroth? Silly you. Even if it wasn't working, we can send it to work. You know.
The thing that you have is worth a lot of money. I'll buy it for 1,000 dirhams.
Good job buying it, Amroth. Don't do that. Now, have you seen Amroth's video? He put out a couple of music videos. They're hilarious, man. If you just click on his link, he's put something really funny out. But anyway, Lucky, listen. After this, you got to swing by. You know, house is open. We got to do something together. For sure. Actually, I was thinking about you the other day. I was tracking some stuff, and anyway, we'll talk. We'll talk on a separate note on that. But it was fantastic talking to you. And the people are. Wait, hang on. He told me already sold it. Sorry, but later then I saw it change the profile pic to the U47. Oh, whatever. It was like telling him he had a pot of gold, not gold-plated coins. Anyway, dude. We're hitting almost 2 hour mark. Not quite there yet, but it was a lovely chat, and we need to do this more often.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, I had Milton. I don't know if you watched the Milton episodes. Hilarious. It was just nonstop laughing, and I'm thinking another episode. We need to get both of you on here and just have a chat.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. I'll be down for that.
Yeah,
we should.
Anyway. For those of you guys who watch this, I hope you enjoyed it. Please do subscribe to this channel. Be more of these things coming up. And thanks to Lucky for this. You know, really thank you for being on the show and taking time to have a chat with us and tell us about all of you and what you do.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. I don't get to share these stories. I don't get to share them at all. This is the first time I've shared all of this. So this was really cool, you know. Going down memory lane.
Yeah, exactly. But this is the whole point, because you know, people, you know, okay, what have you done? What's this album? Okay, how did you do it? What did you get about? You know, I want people to hear the vision. And today was all about the story of how you built it all up, which is great. You know, so it'll inspire other people to hear it and do their own thing. And you know, we've all gone down the same road, but in different paths, and every path has its own unique vibe to it. And, you know, you had your unique vibe to it. He or she had their own unique vibe to it. And we just take it from there, just as people talking to each other, because I think these are the stories that really, I think, in-depth click gears in people's heads on how to go about things. Do you know what I mean? In some way?
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about, man. This is that's why I get people to talk at the Ascent.
Yep.
You know, exactly why I get these people to talk to the Ascent. On that note, I'm gonna shamelessly plug myself here.
Yeah, please do.
Please go on digital streaming platforms, look up The Recipe, listen to our releases on there. The Funerals in Purgatory album that came out in 2017 is on there. Go to our website, therecipedxb.com. There's a whole bunch of, you can find everything about us on there. There's all the videos, there's all the links to the music. You can buy our album with Bitcoin if you want. If you go safely to Dubai Mall, Virgin Megastore, you can find our merchandise there. Our T-shirts are there. Our caps are there. Our vinyl record of Funerals and Purgatory is there. You know, buy that stuff. It'll go towards us making more music and more cool things and doing more events and hopefully doing more cool merchandise. Yeah, it goes a long way, man. Slipping is my fave. Oh, Slippin'. Okay, before we go, I got to tell the story about Slippin'.
Okay.
Slippin'. Slippin' was my directorial debut. Okay, I directed the video for Slippin', and what happened was Aaron's brother was in town. Aaron is Perfect Storm. His brother was in town. It was in town, and he was only here for like a short period of time. But he is a professional drone operator. Okay, so he records and films, used to, for the BBC and stuff. And he had built his own drone. Okay, he built it all from scratch, and this was like early drone days, okay? And he was here and he had brought his drone with him. And he was like, guys, we got to record a music video with my drone this weekend. And we were like, okay, what are we going to do? Who are we going to get to do it? And we couldn't find anyone to do it because everyone was busy and it was such short notice. So I was just like, you know what? I'll do it. I'll direct it. Like, I've seen people do it at work. I kind of know the process. You know, like I'll come up with a storyboard and a shot list and stuff. Like, I got this, all right? So I came up with this concept. I came up with the storyboard. I made my shot list and stuff. I showed it all to Ashley. Ashley is Aaron's brother, the drone operator. And we decided to go to Ras Al Khaimah, to shoot because we figured we'd have better chances finding an area in Ras Al Khaimah where there were no cables around so that the drone could fly around freely to shoot. Plus, we had some friends in Ras Al Khaimah who had some cool lowrider cars and stuff. And they always said that they wanted to showcase their cars in our music video. So we were like, cool. So we drove down. We found this spot in the middle of this village on the outskirts of Ras Al Khaimah. It was right outside of school, this big open car park area, and we decided to film there. So we started filming. Instead of like a whole bunch of cars coming, only 2 cars came, and like one of them like wasn't working, so it came off of the truck and it just plopped and it was there. Like it couldn't move or anything, right? So we're like, oh man, like we only have 2 cars to work with. But we're like, whatever, let's just start shooting. Let's just get on with it, right? So we started shooting. Lunch comes up, and this was on a Friday. So 1 o'clock, prayer times happens, right? And everyone in the village suddenly was in their Land Cruisers and stuff, driving to the mosque to pray. And they see us, and they all stop, and they're like, what are you guys doing? And we're like, oh, we're musicians, we're rappers, we're shooting a music video, you know, like it's just a concept with these cool cars and whatnot. And they're like, oh, nice, yeah, good luck, you know, have fun. And they go and they have their prayers. After their prayers, they're coming back, and one car stops, and he opens the back of his Land Cruiser, and he has all of this food. And he's, you are guests in our village, and you're showing the beauty of our village in your music video. The least we can do is feed you.
Wow.
So they gave all of this food, right? And like that was amazing. So we start eating, and we're like, oh no, like we don't have any. There's nothing to drink. Like he didn't give us anything to drink. Whatever, it's cool. So a few of us went down to the shop to get water and stuff, and the shopkeeper wouldn't let us pay. They were like, no. That guy that gave you food, he came here and he told me if you guys come here to buy anything, he will pay for it.
Wow.
And we were like, what? That was so cool, right?
Part executive producer, that dude, you know?
Yeah. Then get this. About an hour after lunch, okay, suddenly everyone that was in their Conduras, in their Land Cruisers that went to the mosque,
Right.
show up again. But this time, they're decked out in like urban cool outfits, and they show up in their pimped out cars, Mustangs, like G Wagons, like all the cars that you see in the music video. Was this village that suddenly showed up and was just like, "What's up?"
Karma, man. Karma, dude. This is another karma story for you. Amazing.
uh do you guys want to be in the music video? And we were like, yeah. And at the end of the day, like they were having so much fun. Like I think you see like the kids come on their like quad bikes and they're like driving in their quad bikes around us and stuff. When the sun was setting, suddenly the guy in the Mustang, he was like, hey, I just got these brand new tires, but they're like drift tires. Do you want me to do donuts for you? And we were like, sure. I mean, it's gonna mess up your tires, right? And he's like, it's cool. I can buy another set. It's fine. You know? And we're like, okay. So at the end, you see the Mustang doing the donuts and stuff, and it was just this guy who literally had bought brand new tires the day before, just completely wrecking them for us. And it was
right. How right is that? That's see, that's like the world is amazing. You got to think about it. You know, you go into a random, not a random village, but just a village where you wouldn't expect on Friday prayers and that, and this is how they help you. Like that is humanity, man. I love that. I love that when things like that happen.
This is Arab hospitality. Like
Yep.
when I go to other, you know, when I travel and stuff and I meet people and they have like this preconceived notion of what the Middle East is like and stuff, I always tell them this story because I'm like, you don't understand what Arabic hospitality is like.
Right.
And I tell them this story and they're just like amazed. Like they're like, this wouldn't happen anywhere else. This doesn't happen anywhere else. Like who goes and tells a shopkeeper, if those people come in here to buy anything, they don't pay. I will pay their bill. Okay? Where does that happen? You know?
That's
amazing.
Yep.
So yeah, Red, I'm glad you like the song. There is that story behind that video. It's a very memorable song and a very memorable experience for me.
I'm gonna watch it now again. And by the way, speaking of your links, I have some of your links in the description section. But please do send me the links you want to put in because I'll add those to the other ones there.
Yeah. So yeah, follow us on everything. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever it is that you're listening to music on, because we'll be releasing music very, very soon. And there's a lot of music to be released. We've been working a lot.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Lucky, again, lovely to speak with you, my friend.
Thank you. Oh, my light just went off. My light was like, that's it.
That's it. It's done.
Yes.
Guys, thank you very much for hanging in there and listening to this conversation with this lovely human being. Again, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow us through. And Luki, I'm going to have to say goodnight to you, my friend. You have a lovely evening. Stay safe and keep making that great music you keep making, my friend. All right?
Yeah. Have a good night. Take care, everyone. Peace, peace.
See you guys.